Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And today, I'm just gonna record a really quick kind of like TLDR, how to do will. So just think of it as like a boss guide, and I'm gonna go over some of or what I think are the most important things that you need to know. Of course, I'm gonna try to keep it short, just so you don't have to process, a lot of the information that's pretty useless in there. But before I go into the link skills, I recommend you having a spirit of freedom and invincible belief. In phase one and phase three, the skill is important in case you take damage and you can't heal. And then this is always good because if you die out, you're going to want the 6 seconds to recoup yourself. And especially in phase three when there's a lot of things going on, it's just good to have, a buffer time where you can pretty much do whatever you want. So I'm going to go in. Typically what I like to do is use a boss slayer. Um, The only place where auto recovery really works and helps you out in here is phase one and phase three. Phase two, I'll talk about that once I get into the boss, but yeah, it's not that different. In Not that different in the sense that it's pretty much the same concept as phase one. Um, so for Will, basically you have to do damage to the boss, and after you get to a certain HP checkpoint, he'll have a test. So in phase one and phase two, that's pretty much where these tests are, and you'll see them once I get into the boss. Hard mode and normal mode are more or less the exact same. Pretty much the only thing you have to watch out for is the skills that do more damage. I hope this was normal, because I am not prepped to fight hard, but okay, basically I'll point out all the things that can do 90% or more of your HP. Oh yeah, this is definitely normal. So you get into Will, the first thing you should notice is that there's 3 HP bars. The top one is overall how much HP Will has. Oops. So basically what you do is you damage down 1 bar. So this is currently in purple. Um, and after you get the damage, your HP's all the way down, you switch maps. And you do that by pressing your NPC chat buttons if open up. So NPC chat harvest. And you can only switch maps once you have sufficient moonlight, which is judged by this gauge up here. 1 second, I want to die. Oh. So as you see, that tornado is one of his attacks, and I'll go over it in a bit since we have so much time. So basically what's going to happen is every even minute, so every even minute at the 45-second mark, Will is going to have have a test. And this is for phase one. So if you don't, so this is the test. That eye will pop up. Usually it's the 45, it was a little early. It happens. And basically what happens is if both HP bars aren't at empty, what's going to happen is the test will automatically recover his HP to where the highest colored bar is. So for this case, it was blue since purple was wiped out. So I'm just going to spawn back in and, finish him off. Once I do, just come back and boom. Once you have him at the 0 HP mark, you're pretty much done with the stage. And you're just waiting until, again, the even minute at the 45-second mark. And basically, during the test, I'll explain to it once we get there. But you're pretty much just gonna try to stay alive, and it's pretty easy assuming you have a person on each side. Again, I'll go over. Oh shit. Um, yeah. But as for attacks, the only 2 things I would really worry about in this stage are the legs. So these are what I would consider the spider legs that I'm circling with my mouse that kind of like rain down. If you get hit by these, basically all it does is prevent you from charging Moonlight. And then the next important thing is these eyes that spawn on the left and right side. If you get hit by this orb, you actually lose some Moonlight. So this becomes more and more important in phase three, and I'll go over that later. Um, but basically, you want to try to avoid these attacks if possible, because you do need to have a sufficient amount of Moonlight to switch maps for the test. That's going to happen in about 20 seconds. If you're doing this in a party, it's fine. You just need to communicate which side the eye that spawns in the middle of the map, what color map it spawns on, just so people can get to that map. So basically, I believe it was like right about now, if I spawn this. So it's summoned in blue. So if you're in the blue map, it'll take you to the purple map. And basically, once you and your party members are in different maps, you want to attack this eye in the middle, and you want to collect this gold orb that falls. Once you do collect it, what happens is that there's a shield in the middle of the map that'll protect you from the FMA at the end of the test. End of the test will come about 20 seconds later, and if you're not inside this golden bubble, you will die. Your screen will crack, and basically it unleashes this checkpoint. So at this point, you can't do any more damage. But after the test, as you can see now, you're free to damage the boss. So I'm here. Basically, you just rinse and repeat this 2 times. So you do your damage, get it all the way down to 0, go to the next map, um, and then damage it all the way. So one of the things in hard mode is this tornado will end up doing, I think, about 90% of your total HP. So if I get hit by it right now, um, oh, it still does about 90% of my HP. But if you die to it, it's whatever, just stay dead. Unless your party needs you to DPS, or if I get hit by it, you see I don't die. It does 90%, so I guess it's the same in hard and normal. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much all there is to phase 1, and I'll go ahead and cut back here when phase 2 comes in. I forgot to mention for this stage, you saw the gold balls and the red balls that are falling. The red ones will do damage to you, so try not to get hit by those. And again, once the circle is summoned, so if one person collects the gold orb, this portal will show up for both sides in the purple and blue. Just sit in it, and there's really no reason to walk out of it. But yeah. Oop, let me switch, and then I'll hit him. Again, I'll be back in phase 2. Okay, now that I'm finishing up the first phase, usually once this this part ends, so maybe in like another 2 or 3 seconds, anytime now. Usually at this point, after the screens crack, everyone's alive. This is when I go into my setup and switch into healing familiars. I have 3 lines of healing just because phase 2 is actually that much worse. So basically the caveat in there is it uses the same Moonlight system with your NPC chat, but now instead of using it to switch map colors, you're using it to potion. So the amount of times you can potion is going to be based off of how much Moonlight you can gather. So every time you get hit by a spider leg and you can't gain Moonlight, or every time you get hit by a red orb, they spawn the same. So they spawn, do the same thing. If you get hit by them, you lose Moonlight. And if you get hit by a leg, you can't gain Moonlight. So healing familiars are really important, especially in this stage, just so you can maintain your HP. It's also why I highly recommend Spirit of Freedom. So when you spawn in after dying, you get 8 seconds where you can just charge Moonlight for free because you can't be hit. Another thing to note, well, it has 2 checks, for this phase. So this is actually a lot quicker because you're not gated by time. And I believe it's on similar cooldown. Things to note about this stage, this spider, if it hits you, you take damage. And right here, he'll spawn webs on the side. If you run into him, you die. So just note that. So basically what you want to do is stay near the boss. And say if the boss is standing about where I am right now, you want to stand on the side. So if you get pushed, you don't run into a web or like the nearest web. So you're always trying to position yourself away from the first. Like right now, I want to stand on the right of him. So if I get knocked over, I don't get sent flying. As you can see right there, I had to use my Moonlight to heal. I'll demonstrate that again in a second. So my cooldown's up, and say I need to heal, probably take a little more damage like this. I need to press it, and then I instantly press my HP. There's a short timer for when you can actually use that potion, so you pretty much want to press the 2 keys right away. And once you get into phase, there's basically 2 types. There's cracked, where if you look at the floor right now, you can see that the floor has like kind of like a shattered mirror effect, and that's when you want to basically you want to get hit by the spider web. The first leg will always spawn around this point. The next one is going to be about 2 inches to the right, and the next one's going to be about 2 inches to the right. Basically, the pattern kind of repeats itself, and you just kind of pre-position yourself to be ready for the web. When there's no crack, you can just hug the left wall, and you're pretty much invincible, as you saw. I'll probably demonstrate that at the test again. If I just get this HP bar down real quick. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much all you really need to look out for. You can watch out for Will's knockback if that has an effect on you, but um, for me anyways, getting knocked back is just kind of whatever. Um, so let's go ahead and take it down and then wait for the next test to begin. Then I'll probably cut back into it. Besides that, there's not really much else going on in phase 2. It's just noting where you have to position yourself. So again, I always use for judgment about the space in between this crystal and this like wall is where the first leg will always drop if the floor is cracked. Next one will be about 2 inches to the right. Next one's gonna be like another 2 inches to the right. And that it'll always be a pattern similar to that for the test. And obviously you just adjust your positioning a little bit depending on where the leg spawns, but you have a general idea so you don't have to position as much. So basically when your party member yells test, you want to position yourself right away. I always position myself here, and if the chances that it's not cracked, you can just flash jump or teleport to the left pretty quickly, which is what I always do. So like right now, you see it's not cracked, and you want to run to the right wall. So the first web will always spawn here, and then the next one 2 inches over, another 2 inches, and you go all the way to the right. Say in the scenario like I originally was, where like there was a web here that you couldn't jump through, just basically take the idea that it'll still spawn relatively at the same place, so you just want to do the opposite, and you don't want to get hit by the legs when it's not cracked. And you just pretty much stand more or less in the same position, and you just avoid the leg. The legs will never spawn in the same place twice, so if you see one rain down here when the floor is not cracked, and you see it rain down here, you can just step over to it and sit there until it's cleared. For mages, you can teleport through this web, or if you're in a Dell, you can backstep through it. I can go ahead and demonstrate that right here. You can just go whoop, and you're pretty much free. Now I'll phase it to the third phase. This one, the third phase is harder when you're doing solo, a lot easier when you're in a party. And basically there's only really like 2 or 3 things to watch out for. For this stage, you're pretty much using Moonlight to clear things that spawn on the map called webs. Now, these webs, once they fully spawn on the map, you won't be able to do anything. And if you run into them, you're skill locked, which is why I brought that up. And that's what you saw right there is another mechanic that Will often does. So this yellow eye right here is an indication that you need to stand still or as still as you possibly can. Any flash jump or teleport might get you killed. And when he has white eyes, it's an indicator that you should move. Now, it might be hard to cancel your attacks when you're in between, weaving your skills, but if you just kind of go for a feel of it, you don't always have to be attacking. Just like, or maybe you attack once or twice and then wait. So what I like to do is go like attack, 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 wait, attack, attack. If you see him attack, you're pretty much free to attack. This poison will damage your party members, but will give you a 30 to or 40% final damage buffs. You see right there, you just stay still and then you attack a couple times. You see that and you have to move. Otherwise, his leg will hit you and you'll pretty much die because that's a one-hit KO. So you attack a few times and then you wait. You see that he has orange eyes, you stand still. He'll always rotate back and forth, so that's one good thing. Right there, it's kind of unavoidable. But that's pretty much all there is to this phase besides the knockbacks. And I was mentioning about the webs, so how you clear these is you want to use your NPC tab and then run into the web, and I'll show that right now. Press NPC and you run into it, boom, boom. And then that's pretty much all there is. And then basically what you do is you bind and you burst it down, which is pretty standard for most bosses. I might die out here if I'm being honest, but oh shit. Did I miss bind? Nope. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to this boss, and every time you get the chance, you want to go ahead and clear the webs. As like I said, if the webs clear out, you won't be able to do damage. And boom, you just continue doing it. When it's bound, he can't do anything. Again, you want to watch out for that white eye. That's pretty much all there is to this boss. If you guys have any questions down below, and I realize this is probably an incomplete class guide, but again, I'm kind of focusing on the main things you have to watch out for and the main things that you can lose lives on. Hope this is short enough, or there's a few parts that I have to cut out, but yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all next time. Peace!